Welcome to this comprehensive tutorial on building a blockchain REST API using Java. In this video, we will explore the essentials of blockchain technology, how it works, and how to implement it in a RESTful way. By the end of this tutorial, you will have a functional API that you can use as a foundation for your own blockchain projects. Let's start with a brief overview of what a blockchain is. A blockchain is a distributed ledger technology that allows for secure and transparent transaction records. It is composed of blocks, each containing a list of transactions, a timestamp, and a reference to the previous block using a cryptographic hash. To follow along with this tutorial, make sure you have Java 11 or higher installed, as well as Maven for managing dependencies. We will also be using the Spring Boot framework to create our REST API. First, let's set up a new Spring Boot project. Open your terminal and use Maven to generate a new project skeleton. Run the following command. After running the above command, navigate to the project directory by executing. Next, open this project in your favorite IDE. We need to update the pom.xml file to include Spring Boot dependencies. Add the following dependencies inside the Dependencies section. Make sure to enable annotation processing in your IDE if you're using Lombok. After that, we need to create the main application class. This class will be the entry point of our application. Create a new file called blockchain API application, Java in the src/main/java/com/example/blockchain directory with the following content. Now, let's create a basic model for our blockchain. We will have a block class, which represents each block in the blockchain. Create a new file called block.java in the same package with the following code. In this class, we have the necessary attributes to represent a block, a hash for the current block, a reference to the previous block's hash, a list of transactions, a timestamp for when the block was created, and a nonce for the mining process. Next, let's create a model for our blockchain itself. This can be a simple class that manages a list of blocks. Create a new file called blockchain.java with the following content. In our blockchain class, we initialize the chain and add a genesis block, which is the first block in the blockchain. The genesis block has no previous hash. Now that we have the basic structure of the blockchain, it's time to implement some methods to add new blocks and to mine them. Let's update the blockchain class by adding a method called addBlock. This method updates the new block's previous hash, calculates its hash, and then adds it to the blockchain. Now, let's implement the calculateHash method, which will be responsible for generating the hash for each block. The calculateHash method combines the previous hash, timestamp, nonce, and transactions to create a unique hash for each block. Now we'll create a method to retrieve the latest block from the blockchain. Add the following code to the blockchain class. With these methods in place, we can now add new blocks to our blockchain. Next up, we will expose this functionality through a REST API. Create a new package called controller and add a new file named blockchaincontroller.java. In this controller, we define two endpoints, one for adding a new block with a POST request and another for retrieving all blocks with a GET request. We use springs at REST controller and at request mapping annotations to handle incoming HTTP requests. Now that we have our API ready, let's test it out. First, make sure your application is running. You can run it from your IDE or by using the command line with mvn Spring Boot run. Next, we'll use Postman or any other API testing tool to check our endpoints. First, let's add a new block. Set the method to post and the URL to http://localhost 8080/API/blockchain/block. In the body, use the following JSON. After sending the request, you should receive a response saying block added. Now let's retrieve the blocks. Set the method to get and use the URL http://localhost 8080/API/blockchain/blocks. You should see your blockchain with the Genesis block and the block you just added. Congratulations! You've successfully built a basic blockchain REST API with Java and Spring Boot. However, there's always room for improvement. You can implement additional features, such as mining, transaction handling, or even consensus mechanisms like proof of work or proof of stake. In this tutorial, we went through building a simple blockchain and exposing its functionality via a RESTful API. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more tech tutorials.